All right, Jay, thanks so much for taking a few minutes
Oh,
to talk with me today. It's been a pleasure to work with you and Keith and others at Westminster. And obviously, I've known you for a while and excited
mhm.
for your upcoming transition, which we'll get to in a second. But want to just begin for viewers who may not know you, a little bit about your background and
Yeah.
both as an educator and school leader.
Yeah. So I think my background is pretty typical for heads of school. Not all heads have this background, but I was a teacher and a coach. Really realized in late in college that working with kids was what I wanted to do with my career. I was a math teacher, an English teacher, a swim coach. One thing that is a little bit different is in my 20s, I did take time off to be a kind of serial entrepreneur for a while. Everything I was doing was connected to education, but during those years, I wasn't working in a school. And it's somewhat relevant to the CIO search. Everything that I was doing actually was in a technological endeavor. Ultimately, I was developing an early version of what's called now computerized adaptive testing. I was doing test prep and trying to create software that would quickly identify student skills and test taking skills. And again, I mentioned that it has affected my leadership. That kind of self-sufficiency you learn in entrepreneurship has been really helpful for me. But besides that, I really came along a conventional path. I was a teacher and a coach and ultimately an administrator at Norfolk Academy in Virginia, where I'm from and where my wife is from. Worked there for 12 years. I was head of a school in Huntsville, Alabama for 5 years, and I've been here at MICDS for 7 years in anticipation of my move to Westminster in the summer of 26.
Exciting. And I guess we got to go right to that. And you've had a chance to meet some of the community and just, I'm sure you've known of the school for a while. People watching this video may very well be excited and intrigued by Westminster. And I
Yeah,
imagine you were too. So talk about
yeah,
what drew you to the school and what are you
yeah.
most excited by?
I was, it's interesting sort of time of career, time of life. When I was first contacted about Westminster, I mean, I've been very happy and successful at MICDS, but I was talking to my wife Ruth shortly after the first call I received from a search consultant, and I said, Ruth, it really is, I think, the only school that I would move for. And she agreed that it's just such an exceptional place. It's also in my home region. We have loved Missouri, but we are Southeasterners. Atlanta, of course, is the capital of the Southeast. So there's an excitement about going back and doing the work at such an exceptional school in Atlanta. In this place that we call home as Southerners. And I have such respect for Keith. I've known him for a long time. We first overlapped in Virginia when he was head at Collegiate in Richmond. We've maintained a professional relationship and even a friendship in recent years that I have really valued. And I'm looking forward to following him. Our values are and our understanding of leadership are highly aligned. Yeah, I say this thing about Westminster. I call it an alpha school in an alpha market. That's not really a widely circulated phrase, but it's what I mean by that. It's places like certainly for K through 12 schools, maybe Trinity in New York or Harvard Westlake in Los Angeles, St. John's in Houston. These schools that enjoy a preeminent market position in a metropolitan area that is very important in American life and central. I would say really there are only two schools though that are in very high growth markets on that list. They are St. John's and Westminster. So it's so fun to contemplate doing the work at such an energized and energizing school community in a city that Atlanta is just a byword for growth and ambition in its civic vision. So I'm thrilled to be going there.
Well, super. And I think that there's a vision for technology at Westminster and schools at large. And I want to sort of get inside your mind. I mean, you've been a part of
Yeah.
entrepreneurship sort of endeavors in the past. You've been in schools for a long time. You've seen technology evolve. When you just think about tech in schools, especially at an enterprise, large school like the
Right.
one you're at or Westminster, what comes to mind first? What are some sort of, important priorities for you that when you think about good tech program leadership?
So I don't know that I have a kind of rank order list. So I'll just kind of reel them off the top of my head. They're all very important, but I'll acknowledge the first one that springs to mind is just the imperative that a great CIO invest in their people. It is just not easy right now. I don't know that it's ever been easy to hire people with a tech skill set into a school setting. It takes a particular kind of person who's almost in some ways a quasi teacher. They really have a heart for school work, a heart for students and faculty. Sometimes the compensation is not what they could get or command in another enterprise setting, and so for the leader to really value his team or her team and help them build a kind of camaraderie and really make it sticky for them, make it hard to leave. That's incredibly important. I would also say, just more on an operational level, data governance and data hygiene come to mind as priorities. Every school that I've known, and I'm sure Westminster is no exception, have multiple platforms that serve various offices and areas of school life, making sure that data is exchanged seamlessly from platform to platform so that there aren't contradictions in the data, that the data is governed well and carefully and stewarded. It's just increasingly important. Essentially, we have all become much more complex in our IT backend, and I understand and respect that. It's also essential that we navigate through it. I'm actually aware of one example at Westminster. Westminster is a Vera Cross school. I have access to the Vera Cross directory now that I'm the incoming president, and not every member of the Westminster community is in Vera Cross because that data is housed on a separate platform. I'm not picking on anyone. I'm not ascribing fault to anyone. This is a natural kind of thing that happens in schools. But you want to make it optimally easy for people to navigate the various platforms that the school subscribes to. Another thing that comes to mind is just for students, because students have to be at the center of everything that we think about and do in schools. But just the commitment to digital well-being, digital citizenship, thinking about student health, balancing the digital life and the life lived apart from screens and technologies. I think the CIO can certainly have a voice in along with academic leadership and student life leadership in navigating that. I'll repeat a word I used earlier, navigating that imperative of schoolwork. I would say too, filtering and security. I think that's become incredibly difficult in schools because we have these twin obligations that are sometimes at odds to protect the young people in our care, especially the majority of them who are still legal minors, and at the same time open up the world to them for research projects or what have you. And so making sure that filtering technology is just right, that it's not overzealous, but also that it's not too permissive, and maintaining good security of the network, cybersecurity. I'm probably far too into the details here, but all of these are priorities for a capable CIO to help lead on.
No, there's a great priorities, and I guess I want to end just think about your priorities or where you see this, Westminster's next chapter headed. I know it's a bit early, and but when you think about what you're excited to even
Yeah.
just bring to the strategy table, or what you see already in motion as you've come to know the school a bit,
Yeah.
and to help a CIO think about what they'll be a part of school wide and what's on the table or what's in motion. What comes to mind first?
Yeah. I guess I can talk about what's already in place and then what I hope will continue to be forward directions for the school. I mentioned earlier that I know Keith well and have great respect for him. Keith has always centered or prioritize the who over the what. And I think that's an important leadership commitment to articulate because at a distance, Westminster is well known for its various whats, its outcomes, whether it be college placements or test scores, or its endowment. It's well known to have a large endowment, a large campus. It's a very well-resourced school. But fundamentally, those things do not matter nearly so much as the people doing the work, doing the leading in that environment. And Keith has invested so intentionally and emphatically, tirelessly in leadership, and he has surrounded himself with people who are very motivated. Again, falling back on my status as a recovering entrepreneur, people who fundamentally are self-starters. They are self-motivating. They don't, by definition or default, kind of resist or look at change with skepticism. They are always open to moving forward. That essence of leadership will remain. When I come into the president role, I will be expecting the same things that Keith has expected. I think looking into the years to come, uh, there's this there was this thing that David Bromwich wrote. It's been a while now. David Bromwich is an English professor at Yale, and he wrote an article for the New York Review of Books. And it seems almost obvious, but the way he put it struck me. He was writing about something to do with technology, but he said, the great social calamity of our age is that human beings are being replaced with technology. Again, post November 22 and post Chat GPT, et cetera, that seems almost banal to say something like this, but I think he may have written this in 2015. I think that reality is the reality that school work has to focus on without distraction, meaning that we're educating children to grow up in a world where the question of what it means essentially to be a human being in the world, what is essentially valuable and uniquely human in life, we have to identify these things, nurture these things, and maintain technological resources alongside our essential humanity. Uh, and obviously, a CIO and a school's tech vision, Westminster's vision for technology, have an integral role to play in navigating those waters ahead. But that is the focus I think that serious schools have to be trained on. What does it mean to be human, and how to help children grow up in a world where suddenly that's a question in a way that it really wasn't a question, or not in the same way uh, when I was growing up.
No, well said. And I think actually you wrote about this in one of your blogs last year. I seem to recall reading it. But well, very thoughtful, and I can tell Westminster is going to be in great hands as you step into the president position. We look forward to working with you and Keith, helping you have someone with great hands and care and heart take over the technology department. It's a big role at a big school and a really important role. And we look forward to working with you, and we look forward to seeing you step onto the campus and have great success in
Thank
Atlanta.
you.
Thank you so
Thanks so
much.
much.
Yeah.
All right. Bye bye.